Welcome back LFC Transfer Hub. In today's Liverpool transfer news update, we've got three big stories. Trent Alexander-Arnold's latest decision has given Arne Slot a brand new headache to solve. Alexander Isak has made a huge mistake since joining Liverpool, and now he's paying the price. And finally, Michael Olles's contract drama could open a massive opportunity for Liverpool to strike again in the transfer market. Stay tuned till the end, because the final update is a real game-changer. Trent Alexander-Arnold decision has given Arne Slot another Liverpool problem to solve. It used to be one of the first positions on the Liverpool team sheet under Jurgen Klopp and then Arne Slot. Now, though, the Reds are having major problems filling the hole left by Trent Alexander-Arnold jumping ship to Real Madrid during the summer. Almost £30 million was splashed out on taking Jeremy Frimpong from Bayer Leverkusen to compete with academy graduate Connor Bradley for the role. But it says much that Dominik Szoboszlai, a midfielder by trade, has been Liverpool's most impressive performer this season in a position where both Joe Gomez and Wataru Endo have also had brief stints. Following in the footsteps of such an integral player as Alexander-Arnold was never going to be a straightforward task, particularly for a new arrival such as Frimpong experiencing the Premier League for this first time despite coming through the ranks as a youngster at Manchester City. The Holland international hasn't started a league game since being ruled out for a month with a hamstring problem sustained on his top-flight debut against Bournemouth on the opening weekend. And former Liverpool defender Glenn Johnson says, "I wonder if he's a bit nervous and overawed by coming into a club like Liverpool. That would be understandable, and he has big shoes to fill as he's replaced Trent Alexander-Arnold. But if that's how he feels, he needs to forget about it all and concentrate on what he's doing. He needs to show why Liverpool signed him and give the same performances he was in Germany. We haven't seen enough of the player who excelled for Bayer Leverkusen. He's known for his attacking play, but I haven't seen that quality at all yet." For Bradley, the challenge is somewhat different, instead attempting to live up to the expectations he helped generate when making a concerted breakthrough into the Liverpool first team at the start of last year. Similar to Frimpong, the 22-year-old's cause hasn't been helped by an injury that forced him to sit out part of preseason and continued an unwanted trend of the defender suffering hamstring issues at key moments, such as the one that ruled him for a month having against Real Madrid last campaign and another spell on the sidelines around the League Cup final loss to Newcastle United and the Champions League exit against Paris Saint-Germain. Indeed, it's easy to forget Bradley has made just 20 career Premier League starts. By the time Alexander-Arnold departed, the England international had reached 235. Nevertheless, the Northern Ireland international has become the man in possession of the right-back berth, starting the last three Premier League games, although it will be a concern he was substituted at halftime in the defeats to Crystal Palace and Chelsea. Slot, though, will hope Bradley benefits from a stellar performance for his country in their 2-0 World Cup qualifying win over Slovakia on Friday, and will be rested after a booking ruled him out of Monday's clash with Germany. That highlights an issue in the youngsters' game this season, Bradley having already picked up 3 yellow cards in the Premier League and 2 in the Champions League. He is closing in on a suspension in both competitions. Frimpong, meanwhile, failed to convince on the right of midfield for Holland in their win in Malta, having performed similarly for Liverpool and Galatasaray in the position. It has been a steep learning curve for the Dutchman, Slot indirectly pointing the finger at Frimpong after the 2-1 defeat at Crystal Palace, in which the right-back's eagerness to get forward at a set-piece allowed Eddie Nketiah to grab a dramatic winner for the Eagles. And Johnson, speaking on behalf of 10Bet, says, "Arne Slot is probably just trying to get a positive reaction. You know, what he said was right, to be honest. I don't like it when managers do that, really. If it was me, I'd always want a manager to have it out with me in private or in the dressing room, so we can work it out together. It's a bit strange to do it in public, but I don't think he meant it in a negative way. You just signed the player for a lot of money, he's only played a few times and is still settling in. So it would be a crazy time to go in harshly on the player. I think he was doing it to be positive, and the risk is it hasn't been taken that way by Frimpong. Alexander Isak was unprofessional and naive, and he's now paying the price at Liverpool." Alexander Isak has been told he is paying the price for his lack of professionalism this summer with a slow start to life at Liverpool. Isak has so far struggled to make an impact at Anfield after completing a £125 million British record transfer from Newcastle United on deadline day last month. The Sweden international has yet to feature for a full 90 minutes and has only one goal in the League Cup against Southampton in 6 appearances for the Reds, and is under pressure from informed Hugo Ekitike for a starting role. Isak is still seeking full match fitness, having missed out on a proper pre-season when banished from the Newcastle first-team squad to train alone following attempts to force through a move to Merseyside. And former Liverpool midfielder Don Hutchison believes the 26-year-old has only himself to blame. Alexander Isak should have been more professional over the summer, and he's paying for it now, said Hutchison. He should have seen the bigger picture. Walking away from the training camp was poor in the first place. He was either going to go to Liverpool or stay at Newcastle, so either way he needed to be match fit. He shouldn't have been selfish. If the move didn't happen, he'd then be match fit for Newcastle. It was unprofessional and naive not just to down tools but to also sacrifice his match fitness for whoever he was going to play for. Hutchison added, I think he's been managed and advised really badly by his agent all summer. It comes down to the player, ultimately. He's under contract with Newcastle, he owes them fitness and professionalism. Bigger picture, if you end up at Liverpool you have to hit the ground running. Now he's playing catch-up and it's because of how he behaved. Liverpool went into the international break having suffered 3 successive defeats for the first time under Arne Slot after narrow setbacks at Crystal Palace, Galatasaray and Chelsea. The Reds have had issues integrating a raft of new signings, not helped by a drop in form among some of their more established stars such as Mohamed Salah. Salah recently had his work rate questioned by Manchester United legend Wayne Rooney, and Hutchison said, Wayne's got a point. Mo Salah over the years, it's not like he's never tracked back, but when you look at Liverpool's average positions last year compared to now, they were 20 yards higher up the pitch, so Salah could close down easier. Maybe he could do a little bit more. Salah this week received a confidence boost of scoring twice to help Egypt reach the World Cup finals, with Liverpool resuming their campaign at home to Manchester United next weekend. And Hutchison reckons the 33-year-old is turning into another former Old Trafford great. Salah's always been about the numbers, the goals and assists, said Hutchison. Now he wants to try to cement the numbers, to try and break records. I think Mo Salah's morphing into what Ronaldo was towards the latter part of his career. I commentate on Saudi football and watch quite a bit of him. All the players like Joao Felix, Sadio Mane or Kingsley Coman, they all do the work for him. They all run for him and he's the one that's bagging close to 1,000 goals. A big problem, Liverpool can capitalize on Michael Ollis contract talks. Liverpool are going to need to sign a new winger in the next 9 months. The depth behind Cody Gakpo at left wing is limited because teenager Rio Ngumaha is still at the precipice of his career, developing his game to competing at the senior level. Physically, he's not there yet and Liverpool are taking a risk by involving the 17-year-old in their first-team activities. Meanwhile, over on the right wing, Mohamed Salah is only getting older, and he's only contracted until 2027. A long-term replacement will need to come in eventually, and Federico Chiesa is unlikely to be considered a viable candidate for that position. He's a player very much on the periphery. As such, it's clear where Liverpool need to go in the transfer market moving forward, and the task of identifying targets is already well underway, with a star at Bayern Munich currently top of the list. Given how talented the player is, the Germans are actively against selling him, but there is a potential avenue that Liverpool could go down to somewhat unsettle him and let him know that club is lurking. Bayern's conundrum in Ollis contract talks. According to an update from Christian Falk at CF Bayern, the Germans have a big decision to make as Michael Ollis is contracted until 2029, but the 23-year-old is highly regarded around the world. In the latest report, he said, Ollis, has a contract which is long enough that they don't have to sell next summer and they won't sell. However, the big problem for Bayern Munich is that they want to give him a new contract, which is dangerous if Liverpool and Man City are there, and everyone's interested in this top player. He's currently on €14 million a year, with add-ons, so there's a bit of space to give him more. Bayern Munich want to get him on a new contract as soon as possible. But with the contract ending in 2029, they'll have to see if they can keep Michael Ollis until then, as interested clubs will pay a big transfer fee for this kind of player. As such, the risk of losing out on a huge transfer fee needs to be weighed up. Liverpool have proven beyond all doubt that they'll go all in on a player they feel is worth it and Ollis could be the next one. Replacing someone of Salah's stature is difficult. The Reds will need to be confident in their chosen candidate, because the team will lose a lot of consistent goal returns when the Egyptian retires. Alice has Premier League experience from the 3 seasons he spent at Crystal Palace, and since he made the step to Bayern, he's only gone up a level, proving his quality in the Champions League, the Bundesliga, and for his country now that Didier Deschamps has him in contention at France. For a player of that quality, with the experiences that he's had at such a young age, a high transfer fee is inevitable and the player might be tempted to move once he gets to a couple of years left on his deal. Negotiations for a new contract would likely need to start by at least 2027 at the latest. In real terms, that's at the end of next season, when the Reds are expected to lose Salah on a free. As such, the big problem is very real for Bayern. For Liverpool, it's a way into potentially signing their ideal replacement for the Premier League's best winger. It's going to be a battle for the ages.